Pixar's animated fantasy adventure, Luca, managed to take the world by storm with its release in September of last year. And since then, we've all watched and rewatched the movie, hoping to catch something we missed in our previous watch. The Pixar movie about friendship, much like any other Pixar animated classic, has an inordinate amount of Easter eggs. We're here to break down Luca's most insane theories and Easter eggs. First up, a gay allegory? While many first world countries have advanced a significant amount when it comes to advancing the rights of their LGBTQ+ residents, there's still a long way to go. For example, showcasing a queer couple in a children's movie is still a hot debate, where traditionalists and conservatives argue that having a queer couple in a children's movie is inappropriate. For that reason why many consider this particular theory to be insane. Luca, to many, offers an allegory about finding your identity, passing, and the way people fear things they don't understand. Sound familiar? Well, in Luca, the two boys' secret identity they must come to terms with is being sea monsters. Our protagonist, Luca, ventures above his sea monster's safe haven towards the surface and forms a meaningful friendship with another sea monster, Alberto. The two have an instant, undeniable connection, but the allegory writes itself when Luca's mother, afraid of the influence Alberto may be having on her young boy, threatens to send him away. We all know what happens next. The boys run away to a nearby town, are misunderstood again, meet Julia, Alberto is jealous, yada yada yada. Now, to be fair, if this is an allegory for being queer, which many people from the community feel that it is, it's definitely not one clearly defined. Next up, an Easter egg related to Ratatouille. Now, this is a treat for people who enjoy Disney's Ratatouille as well, and for people who may enjoy elaborately hidden Easter eggs that may be an inside challenge to find. Released way back in 2007, Ratatouille's impact on pop culture cannot be ignored. The story about taking on the culinary world with his heightened ambition was a surprising delight to watch, and the restaurant he sneaks into in the movie, Gusteau's, is still pretty memorable. The scene in Luca where Gusteau's is given a nod comes during the scene in Portrosso. In the scene, Luca's antagonist, Urkel, sits outside the bar with his groupies, and if you pay attention, just above his leg, the poster reads Gustosa, and it's placed underneath the sign of the bar. Of course, it's spelled differently, but it serves as a cheeky little nod to the late Ratatouille chef. Even Coco got a shout out. Disney and Pixar collabs rarely miss, and 2017's Coco is a startling good example of that. It deals with generational trauma and the concept of finding your own roots, and many Latino people found themselves represented extremely well in the movie. While the movie is not named after the protagonist, Miguel, it is named after his great-grandmother, long estranged from her father. It talks about a young boy trying to find his place in his family's rigidity. Elena, Miguel's grandmother, who is vehemently against Miguel playing music, makes an appearance in a very unconventional form in Luca. In the scene where Luca and Alberto are swimming, they spot a boat named Elena, and that's supposed to be a nod to the 2017 movie. However, as you may have guessed, this Easter egg takes a bit of research to uncover, which is a bit crazy. Oh, also, there's Donald Duck. With all these Easter eggs from other Disney movies thrust into Luca, you'd think they'd stop making sense. But Julia's room serves as a museum collection of all sorts of ancient Disney memorabilia. For example, there's the classic Donald Duck toy artfully positioned in a way that it's leaning against her bed. The character of Donald Duck, created by Disney in 1934, would actually be fairly popular in the time period Luca is set in. This does lead one to wonder why Julia, of all people, would have him. Maybe it's because she relates to his tendency to babble and get really angry real fast. Whatever the case, it sure is fun to find a familiar face in a new Disney Pixar project. Of course, the A113 makes an appearance. Ask even an amateur Disney Pixar fan about the A113, and they'd probably know that it's the most notable and old-standing Easter egg of all time. From the first ever Toy Story to Luca, no movie by Pixar has been spared the fun detail. The combination of numbers and letters A113 references the classroom many animators and students at the California Institute of the Arts used, and has a rich, storied history behind it. Tim Burton, John Lasseter, and Brad Bird are a few prominent figures in Pixar who used the classroom, and they're not all. Many students from the university, and particularly from that class, went on to become animators for Disney and Pixar, so it's become a bit of a legend. In Luca, the classroom number appears on the train ticket Alberto gives Luca in the movie. The ticket is supposed to let Luca attend school, and the close-up on it clearly shows the alphanumeric sequence. Let's talk about how Luca fits into the grander Pixar theory. You haven't been on a true internet spiral until you've landed on the plethora of YouTube videos explaining the Pixar theory. But let's presume that you are a casual viewer who doesn't need every single movie franchise to be a cinematic universe contained within itself. Let us enlighten you. Now, we definitely don't have time to get into just how elaborate this theory is, with roots that run in every single Pixar movie, but to get a general idea, the Pixar theory connects dismiss every single Pixar movie and presume it exists in the same universe. The connection is formed in the most organically ridiculous way. So for example, a part of the theory claims that Boo from Monsters Inc. is actually the witch that gave Merida the curse in Brave. According to the theory, in search of Sully and Mike, Boo walked through a door into the past and is stuck there, which would explain the woodwork Sully in her workshop. And that's not even all. But as we said, the theory is elaborate, and one has to wonder, how does sea monster lore fit in the same theory as talking cars? Well, apparently, it connects to Monsters Inc. of all movies. The theory claims that sea monsters like Luca and Alberto's families were exiled from Monstropolis and sent to live among humans since that is the law. In the human world, these sea monsters then become legends, like the Loch Ness Monster, etc. These monsters living among humans are scared of them, so they tend to avoid being noticed. All traits that the sea monsters in Luca share. That's not the only movie Luca connects to in the Pixar theory. There's Turning Red and Coco. This brings us back to Easter eggs. Let's talk about Turning Red. Outside of the context of Luca, Turning Red exists as its own coming-of-age story about a young girl named May going through hormonal changes through an exaggerated metaphor in Pixar style. The interesting thing here is that Turning Red wasn't actually out when Luca premiered. But Pixar's part marketing strategy, part Easter egg hiding, includes having a small part of their next project hiding somewhere in their latest release. This happened to A Bug's Life, where Woody was teased to Seoul, which ended up teasing Luca. A travel agency in Seoul had a poster in its window advertising, "Visit Portroso." It's these small details that make viewers feel invested and interested. In Luca, however, the Easter egg about the movie where a young girl turns into a giant red panda when she is unable to deal with her emotions is well hidden. This is unlike Pixar's usual Easter eggs. In the poster for Turning Red, May, in her panda form, is wearing a lanyard with a small pin on it that says "For Town." This of course ties into the rocket sleeve that is visible in Giulia's bedroom behind Luca. The sleeve claims that it's from the band For Villaggi. Villaggi, for those unaware, is the Italian word for villages, and both these events even use the same color scheme, that too with a specific stylized star in between the numbers and the word itself. And finally, on to Pinocchio. Another fun Easter egg in Disney Pixar's Luca is the mention of another Disney project, this time a pretty old one. Luca has references to Italian art and culture, and Disney saw it fit to include a Disney Easter egg as part of that. A book very visibly seen in Giulia's room is The Adventures of Pinocchio by Italian author Carlo Collodi. This book was adapted to be a Disney animated classic way back in 1940. The book shows Pinocchio repeatedly being tricked by a pair of con artists, a cat that fakes being blind and a fox that fakes being lame. Another interesting thing is that on the book cover and in Luca's inspired dream sequence associated with the book, the pretend blind cat strongly resembles Massimo's cat, Machiavelli. And that's all for today. Did we miss an Easter egg or theory you love? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed watching the video, be sure to leave a like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications by pressing the bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video. And we will see ya next time. Thank you for watching.